Take a look at the local dailies. All right, at last is the main headline on the front page of the Standard, and they just opposite with a newspaper they did some time back. This was, I'm trying to see the date, where they made that story on losing faith. Ile iligonga vichwa vya habari sana.
It was on 7th of September.
7th September 2025. Caving into pressure, Faith Odhiambo's resignation from President William Ruto's panel on compensation for victims of protests marks a dramatic turn in her journey from protest heroine to embattled Law Society of Kenya president. Once celebrated for her fearless defense of the oppressed, Odhiambo found herself accused of betraying the very cause she championed. Her exit after weeks of internal revolt and legal wrangles is being seen by many as an act of courage and a step to correct a misjudgment that had tainted her stellar record. Yet, as applause mixes with skepticism, many now wonder whether she will reclaim the moral ground that once defined her leadership.
Ilileta joto sana. When she accepted that position, watu walikasirika, wakasema wewe ni msaliti nini. Eventually amesema okay sawa, nimewacha. I've actually resigned.
Did you have pressure?
Ni pressure. Because even lawyers, the ones she leads under the Law Society, are saying no, you can't. Because now as our president, it's like you've decided that the entire society is in agreement with what's happening and we are not.
Yeah.
So I think she was under a lot of pressure from very many different kind of fronts.
Yeah, but she said she'll pursue other means to ensure that these protest victims get justice.
You remember also that the court stopped that panel from performing its role temporarily, so the case is still there. They had about 120 days to work, but say hawajaanza bado. So I said, okay, fine, we're just here not doing anything. I think I can do better elsewhere. Yeah.
All right, and she's quoted here on the front page of this newspaper. She says, while the clock runs down on the panel's lifetime, victims continue to reach out to me in total frustration over when their request for audience with the panel will be honored. I must therefore prioritize other avenues of responding to the plight of victims through the other positions I hold. That is the LSK President, Faith Odhiambo. Nimeona mtu alimkashifu sana pale social media. Akisema, ODM pia kapata strays. Hii ni kazi ya ODM. ODM ndilifunza watu ku resign, not to take everything. How Mwenche shaped trade in Africa, and in part 2 of this serialization, Ambassador Mwenche narrates his travels and engagements in his tour of duty at COMESA, how he joined the Preferential Trade Area Secretariat and rose to chair the 21-member intergovernmental organization. The 24th COMESA Summit starts today at the KICC here in Nairobi. And it's a win for Kenya. President William Ruto will be assuming the chairman position for 1 year. Is it 1 year or 2 years? There is something there about. This story has been covered on page 6. You can read more about it. On the inside pages of this newspaper, County Attorney was not involved in NMS takeover of City Court told. This is former Senator Mike Sonko. Bado kutukwa magazeti. Senators call on boys to shield girls from abuse and nurture mutual respect. Uhuru is the past and the present and future, Gachagua declares. That story is on page 7 as well. And on the back page, Brazil's undisputed star, Neymar's World Cup race against time. And the 33-year-old forward has failed to live up to expectations, and time is not on his side. The big question is whether the poster boy of Brazil football will play next year's World Cup.
All right, and as we anticipate Mashujaa Day, where quite a number of people will be honored, there's a notice from Parliament. About 60 people have been nominated for special honors, special national honors. It has quite a number of legislators, both from the Senate and the National Assembly, about 46 of them. And they're asking that if you have any objection to these people, 60 of them, to be receive honors on Mashujaa Day, you should actually give your views to Parliament by Monday, 13th of this month. So ukiangalia hivi useme huyu hafai kupata, unafaa uende useme. Na kwa nini? Yes. That's the Standard. Go to The Nation, the same story, why Faith threw in the towel. Her appointment to a government team of compensation for victims of state excesses sparked controversy. Now, the LSK president, Faith Odhiambo, has resigned from her position as vice chairperson of the panel, citing stalled progress, court action, and detractors. Once again, just like the Standard did, she's also quoted here on the front page saying, "My oath of office demands that I do all it takes to preserve such resilience from any and all adversaries and detractors." That's part of her reason for resigning. Meanwhile, a court has blocked operations by the task force appointed on August 25th. What exactly will happen is almost 2 months later. Hawajaanza kufanya kazi. Other stories here, looming shortage of life-saving drugs. This is according to the Kenya Pharmaceuticals Distributors Association, which is warning of an imminent crisis, citing regulatory changes that could affect the import of essential medicine. Why Moi picked Uhuru over Raila, Mudavadi, Kalonzo, and Saitoti. This is a very interesting story by Mazden Madoka, who was a former minister, and he's writing a story about more than 20 years ago, back in 2002 when President Moi nominated Uhuru Kenyatta as his preferred successor. And ikaleta shida sana, watu wakahama KANU, and that was the beginning of the end for KANU. Meanwhile, ile story ya pale missing activists, where's Njagi? That's a question. In August last year, after anti-government protests, this activist, Bob Njagi, was seized from Matatu by security agents and tortured for a month in captivity. That was in Kenya. Now, Njagi and his Kenyan colleague, Nicholas Oyo, have gone missing in Uganda, with a court told that they are being detained by the military. Now, unajua kitambo walikuwa nasema, when there were abductions and the initial killings last year on June 24th, there were rumors that it was actually a unit from Uganda that was doing that on Kenyan soil.
Oh, wow.
Kiza Besigye was picked by a Ugandan unit on Kenyan soil. So hii abductions na kidnapping, kwani kuna connection ya Uganda mahali. Kuna mahali mambo haiendi vile inafaa. A very interesting story here. It's a court of appeal that said that marriage is not a 50-50 assets affair. Usifikirie tu sababu you're married ati saa mkidivorce ati utapata 50. Unaambiwa contribution yako ni gani. Watu walikuwa
ulileta nini?
Ati si ati hata kama ulileta unaweza toka na kidogo zaidi.
Lazima ikuwe 50-50.
No. The court has said that story is on page 14. Read it for yourself. All right. MP set conditions for sale of Kenya Pipeline. That process continues. If it is privatized, Kenya Pipeline Company will not import or sell petroleum products without approval from the National Assembly. That's the Daily Nation.
All right. Taifa Leo this morning, kibunda cha Ruto kwa Gen Z. Mradi wa shilingi bilioni 5 nyota utakaowapa vijana shilingi 50,000 wazinduliwa.
Mbona unanichungulia? Why are you giving me the side eye?
Mradi wa nyota unaolenga kuwa, sikutaka kusema mengi, hiyo ndio mengi.
Ni ukweli, swali ni Hustler Fund ilikwama. Sasa kuna nyota. Wanasema 100,000 people will each receive 50,000 bob. This is not a loan, a grant. So it's about 5 billion shillings. Lakini najua ni it's because it's 23 months to elections. Na vijana lazima watafutwe. But 100,000 vijana, will they make a difference?
Unakuanga very ambitious.
Will they make a difference? Anyway, there's 50,000 to be gotten from government. If you're among the lucky few.
Chukueni kura. Continuous voter registration exercise is going on. Wanasema kwamba mradi wa nyota unaolenga kuwafaa zaidi ya vijana 800,000 wasio na kazi, kila mmoja akipewa shilingi 50,000, that is 50,000 shillings. Unatazamwa kama njia mpya ya Rais Ruto kutuliza vijana huku kura za mwaka 2027 zikikaribia. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa pili wa gazeti hili. They make mention of faith and they say faith akosa imani amruka rais.
Faith akosa imani.
Faith loses faith.
I like that play of words there.
Faith akosa imani. Anasema kwamba Rais William Ruto amepata pigo jingine baada ya mwenyekiti wa chama cha mawakili nchini Faith Odhiambo kujiondoa katika jopo la kushughulikia mchakato wa kuwalipa fidia wahanga wa dhuluma za asasi za serikali. Bi Odhiambo aliyekuwa naibu mwenyekiti wa jopo hilo amekumbwa na shinikizo kali kutoka kwa wakosoaji wa serikali. Abdullahi ahifadhi kiti cha baraza la magavana, ni gavana wa Wajir, atahudumu kwa mwaka mmoja zaidi. Na kesi ya Lissu yaanza kura zikikaribia Tanzania. Tundu Lissu anakabiliwa na kesi ya uhaini, shtaka lisilosababisha Chadema lililo sababisha Chadema kususia uchaguzi, na vile mwekezaji aacha 300 bila makao. Ni wakazi wa Mkocheni, Taita Taveta kuliwa na baridi baada ya nyumba zao kubomolewa. Kule juu, Kenya moja yawazia kusimamisha rais mwaka 2027. Viongozi wa mrengo huo ni wanachama wa vyama vya ODM na UDA. Taifa Leo asubuhi ya leo.
All right. The Star. Today being a Tuesday, it is not for sale. Do or die, parties rebrand for 2027 political battle. But behind the scenes, they are quietly investing in data-driven campaigns. That's a big story there on the front page. The other story is about Babu's chess game, which has sent Raila and Ruto back to the drawing board. And you can see that Babu Owino, the Embakasi East MP, ameshika mwendo kasi campaigns za kuwa governor Nairobi. Kidogo anazungumza na Kalonzo Musyoka. Kidogo azunguka na watu wa Mount Kenya. Ameanza anti-Sakaja crusade. Ana campaign kwingi na garbage na jobs is part of the stories. He's not antagonizing Raila. He's fighting for Gen Zs, or it would appear. And he's a major Ruto critic. So that story is on page 6. So matters politics on the front page of the Star. Parties rebranding and what's happening in Nairobi. Yeah, which I think is a very interesting story, especially now that the city is facing a lot of challenges. Experts call for GMOs as animals feed. A crisis cripples food security. That's another story. Operation Infiltrate. This is a plot to disarm Rigathi ahead of 2027 polls. Another political story there. From street smarts to global trade, the journey of Ronique. Kule juu, wanasema hiyo watu wenye wanakuwa nalipwa na hiyo panel yenye Faith ametoka. Huyu jamaa huyu MP anasema wa include wale watu wa Wagala massacre hapo pia. Sababu hata they face brutality. So that's the Star. Today being a Tuesday, it's not for sale, and it comes with a complimentary MyGov pull out for government jobs and tenders. So grab yourself a copy of this paper if you can find it, because it's for free. Fresh, independent, different. All
right. People Daily, how politicians want to use sport to fool Kenyans. This story is on page 4. Na tukiangalia ndani what they say about it, football and other sporting disciplines is being repackaged as a billion-shilling industry, a career path for jobless youth and campaign tool. Ni kama wanasema ile story ya Harambee Stars, akisema how politicians want to use sport to fool Kenyans. Tunaona pia athletes.
Mbona wanasema fool Kenyans? Why not lure Kenyans?
We can be a little bit harsh.
Sometimes we tunarusha maneno lakini sawa.
All right, this story is on page 4. Why Kenya, UAE brokered Somalia reconciliation is another story covered on page 7. Basically, that's it. That's the People Daily. Kuna mengi kule ndani, lakini people and politics, deep state.
All right.
People Daily.
From People Daily, Business Daily, how Kenyans wired 426 billion shillings dollar-based crypto in a year. They say cross-border traders, Kenyans in the diaspora and multinationals are increasingly using stable coins for payments, setting the stage for wider adoption of digital assets in everyday finance in Kenya. You can read more on this on page 2 of the Business Daily. They say multinationals, diaspora, top users of stable coins, and Kenya is now ranked 4th largest recipient of crypto in Africa. Kenyan investors take over stockbroker Kestrel Capital. That's another story given prominence. On the ticker, fertilizer imports slide for a second year. Posta plans assets sale to clear 7 billion shilling debt. State-owned Posta, atabado inakuanga, is now seeking approval from the Treasury to sell part of its dormant assets to clear liabilities amounting to 7.2 billion shillings and attract a strategic investor. Those are the stories that are linked to matters business on this paper today. Just a reminder, we'll be having Dr. Makali Mulu, MP Kitui Central in studio for State of the Nation, alongside James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, and Harrison Kinyanjui, who's an advocate of the High Court, to help us understand why we are losing faith or gaining. Are we gaining? Regaining faith. All right. Again, a reminder at 8 a.m.
All right, we'll be having Jeremiah Karanja, that is the CEO, Institute of Certified Secretaries, to talk matters leadership and integrity in public service. Tuangalie caricature sasa.